Hi and welcome back to a new video, and again on my table you can see a Lian Li case, and it might look familiar, but I can guarantee that it's not identical. You're again looking at an O11 Dynamic Evo, but it's the latest prototype. We already discussed the O11 Dynamic Evo, which will be the successor of the current O11 Dynamic, because it's going to be like a better version or the best version ever of an O11 Dynamic. And we already discussed this case early this year, and you left a lot of feedback down there. Positive and negative, which is great. And again, I'm asking you to also leave again comments about this case down below, because Lian Li is absolutely listening to your comments, and very similar to the first video. For example, you had a lot of criticism about the front panel, and Lian Li listened. I mean, you will see in this video that they changed a lot on this case, and I think, or I'm pretty sure that this is going in a very, very good direction. Alright, let's check out the details of this case. By the way, because they're again changing some parts of the case, you can see, or you will see in this video that they changed a lot of parts. It will also delay production, and right now Lian Li is estimating around October this year, or maybe November this year. It depends also what you think about this case, what kind of feedback you will have, and if you're maybe thinking, well, this feature is crap, but that feature is great, again, please let us know in the comments. Alright, but let's check it out. Of course, the O11 Dynamic Evo features a front and side panel made out of tempered glass, which makes filming a lot more difficult because of all the reflections you have with the room and the lights and everything. But just to give you a first impression of how clean and neat the front looks like, I will leave it on for now, but we'll remove it for the following shots. Okay, so here we have one more shot, a little bit angled from the side, so you can get a better impression of front and side panel. Again, as usual with the O11 Dynamic. It's just very clean and timeless design. Before we can start removing the front glass and the glass side panel, we first have to slide back the top cover, which is a complete mesh design for perfect ventilation, and it's made out of steel, but it's painted in a very good quality. Also considering that it's a prototype, it's a very, very good quality. And next to it, we have aluminium parts for the top and also for the front. But we're going to check out the front in a second. Similar as before, you just remove the two screws in the back, and then you pull the top cover and you can easily remove it. Glass front and side panel just have to be pushed out towards the glass direction, then you can lift it up. On top we have a dust filter, which we can use or not use. There's a lot of stuff that changed on the back side. First of all, we have a much bigger mesh type. So we have better ventilation for the 120mm fan, which can be mounted in this position. And on the bottom right here, originally there was no ventilation or no mesh at all. And now we have the same kind of mesh that we have above. Following your feedback, the dual PSU mount is back. So again, on the bottom, as standard, you can mount your first or primary PSU. If you don't need the hard drive swap cages, which are above, so you can mount two hard drives if you want to. If you don't need that, you can go back to the dual PSU mount, just remove the inner hard drive bay, and then you can mount two PSUs in total. The first Evo had a full mesh side, which allows perfect ventilation, but also allows that you cannot really hide your cables anymore underneath. So they added this strip in the center, which allows or makes it easier to hide your cables. The metal bar in the center allows at the same time SSD mounting of two devices, or it also allows hiding the cables underneath. In a previous design, they had this cage in the center with a cover on top, which didn't allow that much space. But now that we have this part in the center right here, which is covering the side, it's not a full side mesh panel anymore. This thing is back, which will make the cable management easier than in the original design. Already in the previous design, Lian Li allowed to adjust the depth of where the fans or the radiators are sitting positioning-wise regarding the side panel mount for your radiators or fans. Now there's this entire bracket for the fans, and you just press this button here on top. Then you can release the entire frame. And if you need to, you can simply turn it around and this way adjust the depth of where the fans or the radiators are sitting, slide it back in, and it's sitting in place. There were also major changes to the front. You could open this up and there were some hard drive swap bays underneath, and since we have them in the back already on this design, we don't need them in the front anymore. And the front is completely fixed, so you cannot open this up anymore. And as a lot of people requested, the power button is now sitting here outside. You don't have to open up anything anymore to access it. Same goes for the reset button, and also if you want to adjust your fan speed or the RGB color of the controller, which is sitting in the case, you can do that over those two buttons. If for whatever reason you're not using this position right here for mounting fans or radiators, you can also switch to this part. And this part will allow additional hard drive mountings or SSD mountings, or just in case you want to, I don't know, hide this part right here. If you say, I don't know, I don't need fans right here, I just want to have it look clean and not that you can see through, then you can swap to this part. In both bottom and top areas, you have those quick mount cases or quick mount brackets for fan and radiators. And previously those latches right here were made of plastic. Now they're made of metal, just to be more reliable and so you don't break. Also, in addition, previously you had mounting possibilities or opportunities for hard drives on the bottom. And now those additional holes were moved to additional metal bars. Because if you don't need to mount an HDD on the bottom, those bars would block additional airflow, which is bad for performance. So makes absolutely sense. If you don't need HDDs, you're just not using those bars. I saved my best or two favorite features for the end. And the second favorite feature in my eyes is the variable front panel. So right now it's accessible from the left side of the case. In case you have this case sitting on the right of you, then you would probably use this mounting opportunity so you can access it from the left. If you want to access this from the front, for example, you can just slide this back. It's pretty difficult to do that with one hand right now, but you can technically slide this back and put it to this position so you can access this from the front. And also, if you decide to put your case on the left side of you, you can simply move this right here. And then you would have it accessible still when the case is sitting on the left side and not on the right side, which is absolutely cool. But now let's get to my favorite feature, which is the swappable case. And I'm going to try that. This would be one of the first setup possibilities inside the O11 Dynamic Evo using the very special GPU stand-up mount. As you can see, the GPU is attached right here on the top, and on this specific prototype there is still something missing, which will be placed in the back right here to further secure the GPU also from the bottom, because right now you could move it a little bit if you apply a little bit of force to the GPU, which is not really an issue because you won't apply any force on your PC when it's standing on your desk, right? But still it will be nicer once there is that additional fixture from the bottom. So that is still missing. Also, don't wonder about those cables. I routed them wrong. They should be in the back right here. So those will not be visible on the final sample. Just for your imagination, just ignore them. Also, you can see I used a Deepcool Assassin CPU cooling block, which is fairly big, but this one fits perfectly inside the case. There is still like 1 or 2 millimeter clearance between this part and the glass plate, so there's definitely room for also big CPU air cooling units if you plan to use one. But that in general would be one of the first ideas how you could utilize the space inside your O11 Dynamic Evo. Of course, neglecting all the fans and everything else you need, like radiators and stuff. And not only 10 minutes later, you might think that I swapped it, but looking inside, I actually didn't. Now check this out. Yep, it literally just takes 5 minutes and maybe 7 screws, and then you can flip the bottom with the top part, and you can flip the entire case, which is absolutely awesome. Especially for water cooling, like custom water cooling, most of the GPUs only have their water channels, well, if you neglect like the backside active cooling stuff, but otherwise every other GPU will only have the cool part on the bottom, which is typically not visible, which is one of the reasons why a lot of people are using vertical mounts. But this way, you can always see the GPU. I think that's just amazing. And it's very simple. It's really very simple. I can guarantee that it's doable in 5 minutes. Yeah. Let me know feedback about this feature and what you think about this. Lian Li is also considering to change this part here for the flipping, because right now you could still mount it, but it would be facing downwards. And in the flip case, it would still be cool if it would be hanging from the top. Yeah, they're also working on that, but that is pretty awesome. But as I mentioned earlier, this case will not be available before like October or November end of this year. But I also appreciate that Lian Li rather spends the time trying to make these cases as perfect as it can get, and also listening to your feedback. So please again, leave your comments and feedback about this case down below. If you want to see things different, I don't know, just let us know, and then we're going through the comments and maybe adjust further. But so far, yeah, this is really going in a very, very nice direction. All right. Thanks for tuning in. See you soon.